Hello and welcome to a special 9 out of 10 Testers edition. Today we're going to have a Rantospective, specifically about TestJam, a conference we all attended together yesterday, and about conferences in general. My name is Sanne Visser, I work at Capgemini, and next to me is...
Chris Armstrong, and I work at Prova, and next to me...
I'm Shay Crompton, and I work for Prima Assicurazioni.
Yeah.
And next to me is...
I'm Hanna Schlander, and I work at Devo Team Creative Tech, and next to me
is Veerle Verhagen, and I work for Dutch Railways.
Hey.
Heard it here first.
And this is a very special edition. This is the first time the 9 out of 10 testers are in the same room together.
Yes.
That's the first time it's happened. Will it ever happen again? I'm not sure.
Oh, it better
Oh,
happen.
must.
It should,
Oh
must
my
have.
God, yeah.
It's been a blast these last couple of days. Really enjoyable. Coming to TestJam, seeing everyone for the first time in the same space.
In the wild.
In the wild. Recording live. I mean, we're here in this beautiful studio. Thank you, Sana, for organising it. And we're talking about TestJam. So
Let's begin.
let's begin.
So I organized the conference. I did a thing.
You did do a thing. How was it?
Yes.
I'm not doing it again. Does that tell you enough? No, it went really well. It was very exciting, and I was so delighted with all the wonderful speakers and everyone that showed up to appreciate them and to listen to them. And in general, it went very, very well. But I put down 15,000 steps, and I didn't leave the building yesterday. I think that kind of tells you how much work it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
you
was
were
it for
walking-
you? Because you guys were in the room, you were attending, you were talking.
It was really good. I mean, I was speaking. That was fun. And it was so many nice people. Some people I've only seen online. It's just nice seeing people in the flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've just finished a year of 9 out of 10 testers, and we're continuing. And one of the things we've enjoyed is seeing each other virtually, and now we're coming to conferences and seeing people in person. So that's pretty awesome. And so yesterday, a couple of Hannah spoke. So how was it for you?
It was really good, actually. I was lucky enough to talk early during the day as well, which was good because I was really tired in the evening. So
I think everyone was
I
really
was
tired in the
everyone
evening,
was
to be
really
honest.
tired.
Oh, man.
You have to feel bad about the person with the very last slot of the day.
Yeah,
Oh, my
sorry
gosh.
about that. But it was really good. I mean, the only thing I struggled a little bit was my headset was a bit angled weirdly, so it sounded like I was a bit out of breath. I can normally talk without just saying that, if anyone didn't know that from before.
We'll look into that. We'll get that headset adjusted. Thanks for the
You
feedback.
just gave an extra level to your talk, you see.
Yeah, exactly.
Excitement.
Yeah, precisely. But it worked really fine, I'd say.
It was the first time you gave your talk. Like, how's your system feeling, or what was it called exactly?
Yes, it's called How's Your System Feeling, and it was the first time, so it was a bit extra nervous, of course, since I haven't tried it out before. But it went well, I think.
I saw that talk. It was really good, actually. I was really enjoying it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Definitely couldn't tell it was the first time, that's for sure.
No, definitely.
That's good, because I've run it to myself about 6 or 7 times, and once with a colleague, but it's always different when you have the energy of the people in the room as well.
All right, so be truly honest. Both tell me, what were the really highlights, and which things did you really not like during the day?
I mean, I struggled a little bit getting my laptop connected to the network, so it kept on kicking me out, which was a bit of a problem since I had my slides online. So that was a bit of extra nerves, and it was quite short between the keynote and having to give my speech, so it didn't give much time to center yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a nice room to do it in. It wasn't too big, so I think that was quite nice. That it wasn't you didn't feel like, oh, I'm on the stage with loads of chairs and this really big. Last time I did a talk, it was in an auditorium, and it felt like, oh my God.
And it can be quite empty, can't it? When there's
Yeah.
a big room and maybe not enough people in it, or sometimes even when there's loads of people in a big room, it can feel very empty.
Yeah, and it was so nice to have some familiar faces, because that always helps, especially when it's a new talk. So you're like, at least I have some people here
You
that I
had
know.
your absolute fan crowd on the
Yeah,
front
Yeah.
row.
Cheering from the front when you mentioned 9 out of 10 testers. Yeah, we're there. That's it. She mentioned us. Yes. Do you know who we are, by the way? I found
brilliant.
it. I found it interesting that you're saying that the switchover was really fast for you between the keynote and your talk. It's one of the things that I felt as an attendee. There's possibly a little too much time between the talks. I know we had 2 rooms, so people had to get to the rooms. So there's that. But I saw, instead of people going right round to the room, let's get on with the next talk, they'll go and get a coffee and have a chat and talk about the weather and whatever, try and find a network signal, and then this is going to be a running theme, by the way, for this entire session. See, look, that one. And and I was like, and it frustrated me for the speakers, because it's like, I found myself walking in partway through the introduction of the speaker, and I feel bad at that. I try to be on time, and I did that like more than once, because there was that extra time. But you said you felt it was quite short. So
I find that really interesting that you'd say it's quite long, because I always feel that it's actually quite short, because you're still sort of processing the information you got from the one talk, and you're already running to the next one. Yeah. So I would like to have more time in between, actually, and sure, let people go get a coffee. Who cares?
Yeah. Okay.
I need to process all of the gems that people are dropping in their talks.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's time to center yourself as well when you're speaking, and like plugging in your laptop, making sure things work. It's good to have a little bit of time for it.
What a lot of people did, which you didn't see, I think because you were all in the rooms actually listening to the talks, but I was making those 15,000 steps. People literally came out and took breaks as well, because we had all the games set up in the lobby, and that was a very nice way for the introverts among the attendees, because they could then just focus on their game console, and they would have a bit of a game, and then they would wander back into the room. So there was time to process if you had wanted to grab that moment.
I feel cheated because I didn't really think that was an option. I was like, I must attend all the talks. I must represent the brand.
Sana invited us here. We have to go to all of them. Do not move from that seat.
Yeah, although to be honest, like this is maybe not the first time I'm doing this. So like this time the excuse was, Sana would like us to see all the talks so that we can have some input for the recording session. But I suppose like this is not new to me at conferences, being like, must see all the things.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, there were so many interesting talks. For me, really interesting was the Simplify one.
Yeah.
That was
Rick
pretty
Tracy.
amazing. Rick Tracy.
That was really good.
The man with more names than you can count. And ask him about it. I'm not even going to try.
I always call him Rick motherfucking Tracy.
There we go.
Every time I then ask him if he minds, and every time he says, no, I don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
So that's
In fact, I think it's a legendary
another
thing.
name to add to the list.
Yeah, so there we go. But yeah, that was a really amazing talk about sort of language and how it's used, and how there are so many similarities across various languages around the world and language groups, but yet at the same time they're so different, and that was really, really cool. I think, Vila, you tweeted something about me trying to do that exercise where
that was
say
fun.
the word is written in red, but it's spelt yellow or something. You have to say the word, not the colour, and all the rest of that stuff. And that was kind
I'm
of fun.
guessing that didn't go well for you.
I bossed it, man.
Aced it.
Smashed
Yeah,
it.
you did.
Smashed
Yeah, quite
it.
well, it has
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
said.
I always do that very badly.
Yeah.
I wasn't in that.
Because it's really
talk.
hard.
Where
yeah.
did you go?
I was in Kimberly's.
How was
about
that?
Automated usability testing. Really cool, because she's just starting her journey now, having won the Eurostar Rising Star Award, I think. Which obviously Sana's won before, by the way. But it was really cool because it's kind of like an introduction to the whole year that she's got planning all these extra pieces and stuff. And there was loads of really cool heuristics for testing usability, which I don't think gets enough attention in the broad spectrum of testing and stuff.
Yeah, and she's clearly showing the experimentation process, and I think that's also not done enough. When we see talks at events, we generally get presented with either a success story, occasionally a failure story, but she's at the beginning of the journey, and she's showcasing, this is how I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to take you with me.
There were discussions straight after with people going, I was kind of expecting like the end game and all these pieces, and it's like, well, actually no, this is like your entree. And there's all this cool stuff, and there's a call to arms for people to like put in a survey and participate themselves and be a part of this journey. And it's like that. It's kind of cool that there's different styles of talks, not just ones with I've organised everything already and here's my presentation. It's kind of, this is what I'm doing. these are the cool things I'm referencing, and there's more to come.
Yeah.
I'm really gutted now because I actually quite wanted to see that one, but it was at the same time as Rick Tracy's one,
Wow.
and his was about language, and like I'm a sucker for the language stuff. So
Well, I made the choice because I'd not seen Kimberly speak before, and I've seen Rick many times, and I love
Fair
him.
enough.
By the way, I love you, Rick.
Nice.
But I wanted to just like go and check this one out. I did live tweet it, and we'll come back to the network issues, folks, because it might take me up to 25 minutes to be able to upload everything with all the images and the alt text and all that stuff.
I remember you coming to me. It's like I'm trying to tweet about your event and I cannot get out any tweets. Everything's taking forever. Look at this. It's still trying to upload. And I think I piggybacked you on a personal hotspot to just get some tweets out. Like that was not convenient at all.
I wasn't able to open Twitter throughout the evening because my network was so bad.
And it
I
was
must have been
honestly
I must have
tough.
been doing something really weird because I was just tweeting away. I had no problems.
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah.
Is
Normally I have all the tech problems, but no, yesterday.
Is
This
it
time you
discriminatory against like non-Dutch people?
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it is. Yes,
is
we
it
set
because
that up
my
on
phone is
purpose.
foreign? Yes.
Yes, your phone is foreign. We don't want it here.
I mean, but the thing is, right, so, I don't know if it's the same as all of you. Now, I've gone to quite a few conferences over the years, and the network issue is a common theme. I mean, call to arms, people. If you're organising a conference, please, for the love of God, get the fucking network right. Yeah? The network. Get the signal. Pull your damn phone out. Pull your friend's phone out. Pull your laptop out. Have a fucking go. Because so many conferences, you're like, hey, dude, where's the hashtag? Where's the network? Why can't I tweet? I want to tweet. I'm loving what you're doing, but I can't tell anybody about it until tomorrow when I'll have forgotten and I'll be on some other plane of existence. So what the fuck? Get your network straight because we love tweeting about you. So fucking do it. All right. There you go. How many fucks can I get into 2 sentences and do a crap Australian accent? There we
I think
go.
you can do a couple more.
Oh fuck. All right. There we go.
Is it story time?
It is story time.
Story
because I think
time.
there is a story.
There is in fact a story.
Story time.
Oh, it's Villa's story as well. Kel surprise.
Yeah, obviously. I love a little bit of story time. Right. My overarching experience of TestJam was getting stuck in a stairwell. Because at least we
She's
know
not
that.
kidding, folks.
I'm not actually kidding. I actually got stuck in a stairwell. Turns out they do really have good security practices at the Capgemini offices. Because in the morning I was going around the office with Sana and I had my little workspace because I still needed to do some work in the morning. And Sana and I at some point went out to get something from the shops and she was like, "Oh, we'll just take the stairs." And I was like, "Oh yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's only 4 floors. That's great." So we took the stairs. And everything was fine. And then later on in the day, Sana was not there with me. And I was like, I'll take the stairs again because I know the route now. Turns out that you need a badge. a Capgemini badge. A special badge to bleep yourself out the staircase. And I didn't have one. So I stood there in the stairwell on ground floor and I could see all the people at TestJam. I could see all my pals, I could see the attendees. And I was there standing hello, anyone, hello.
One of the volunteers came to get me. He's like, Sana, there's an issue.
Dun, dun,
No, right, okay, because
And I was like, oh my god, we have a code of conduct violation. I immediately panic. I'm like, okay, let's go here, let's see what's going on. He's like, we have somebody stuck in the stairwell.
Yeah, did you immediately know it was me?
No.
That should have been the assumption, shouldn't it?
No, yeah, so that was the thing. Yeah, so I had to phone a few people and I tried phoning one of the people that I saw standing there, but clearly he didn't have my number. So I saw him looking at his phone and ending the call, putting it back in his pocket. I was like, no, what are you doing?
Please come back.
I texted the 9 out of 10 testers crew and they sort of came up to the door and tried to open it for me, but obviously we couldn't.
Because I didn't have a badge.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I
Nobody had a
did,
badge.
but the badge reader is on the
It's
other
on the.
side.
It was on my side, so it was so close but so far away. But yeah, one of the volunteers came to get me, and I was so happy with him all day. I was like, "What's your name?" He's like, "It's Gino." I was like, "Gino, you're my hero. You're the best volunteer ever." Yeah, man, low-key in love with Gino now. But yeah,
Well done, Gino. Nice
Yeah,
one,
oh my
mate.
god, Gino.
Shout out to
Fucking
Gino.
big hearts for you, man.
truly.
Yeah, no, he was great. And like in general, I thought the volunteers were actually incredibly
Yeah.
helpful
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
really, really nice. And like they did anything for you. And like Gino was like, oh yeah, he said to someone else in the building, like, oh yeah, I just have to take a speaker back to TestJam. I was like, I'm not a speaker. I was like, oh shit, he's gonna put me back in the stairwell. But he was
But
like,
I know one.
don't worry about it, you're still a guest. I was like, oh my god, these people are so fucking nice. The volunteers were fucking great. Like
They were.
fucking
Yeah,
big,
they were.
big,
Yeah.
big love hearts
Off
to
the
them.
charts. They
Yeah,
were
they
really
were
good, and they
awesome.
stuck around, and they were there, and they were mingling, and they were, it was, they weren't just sort of standing like gimps in front of the doorway, and you see that at some conferences. It's like, I've got my free tickets. I know all I just need to do is stand there and watch the thing and do nothing. But these, they were around.
Yeah.
They were interacting. They were helping.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were.
If they
ace.
didn't know something, they would go and find you probably, but find out about it. So yeah.
I was very frequently very impressed with them. Like at one point we had to clear that one room for the surprise. We're gonna talk about it in a second.
the surprise.
And at that point, we hadn't quite figured out the logistics of it because I didn't know all the chairs would have to go out. I found that out like 5 minutes before. These are the fun things that you don't see when you're not in the
Yes.
organizing part of it. So at that point, I was like, okay, we have to get this done. And like literally within 10 minutes and like 6 of them, that room was cleared. And then afterwards, I thought, when the keynote was going on after the surprise, I was like, oh my god, now the chairs all have to go back. So I raced back, I opened that door, and they were already back. And they were already lined up, and they were perfect, and I didn't even need to tell
How did you
them.
find these people?
They volunteered.
Nice,
Nice.
holy shit.
Yeah, I know.
Fair
and
play.
Very impressed.
Shout out to all conference volunteers.
Oh,
by the
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
they're the
It's a
real
labor of
heroes and
love,
things.
but
Like,
yeah,
it makes it happen.
It makes it happen. It really does.
I've never volunteered at a conference. Chris, you do that a lot.
I do it a lot because I don't like paying for tickets.
Fair enough.
So
but,
yeah.
but also, it for me, it actually forces me to speak to people who I wouldn't otherwise speak to. And having been that person in a conference where there's thousands of people, hundreds of people, and you're alone, and let's face it, bloody scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
actually, being a person who sort of now it's in my job, if you like, is to ensure that I get to chat to people and organise things and try and make an experience better for other people. That's kind of a beautiful thing, and the fact that I get to do that and not pay for the ticket
It's
rocks.
a bonus,
I do
yeah.
sometimes find that volunteers do have to wear a less flattering colour, but the Capgemini ones didn't have to yesterday.
It was navy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
flattering.
But yeah, volunteering is awesome, and I think kudos to volunteers who do those things. It's not just a case of rocking up, like you said, because there are a lot of things, nuances that happen in conferences that sometimes we need people who have got a bit of initiative
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
visibility to try and break things down. We've talked before about conference cliques.
Oh yes, we have discussed this a lot, and that I think it's always a risk when you go to events as a group, and it was a massive risk yesterday because half of the attendees were actually colleagues from our own testing department that came to a Capgemini testing conference, and so there was the risk that they would all talk to each other and not to anybody else that was there. And I think that was one of the things that was special yesterday. That truly did not happen. And people were just all over the place. And like I lost track because we were showing it by badges who was from Capgemini and who wasn't. I couldn't tell. Like by the midway point, the groups were so mingled, there was no way to tell which was which.
I was talking to one of Elizabeth's colleagues, so one of the person working at Mendix, and he at some point said something like, "Oh yeah, because I'm not really like part of your in crowd or something." He said something like that, and Chris and I had been talking about like conference cliques before. We were kind of going like, when does it stop being excited to see your friends and wanting to talk to them because you don't see them very often, and when does it start being a clique and like excluding others?
Yeah.
And so when he said like, "Oh yeah, I'm not really part of your in crowd," I was like, "Oh, that sucks because I
hurts.
don't want us to be an in crowd,
Yeah.
but clearly we are." So I was like,
Yeah.
I was trying to make the effort to speak to new people as well, and like I semi count him because I didn't know him, but I was like, well, you're still colleagues with people that I know, so maybe you don't really count. So I tried to speak to other people as well. But there is that thing, like, I don't see any of yous very often, and I'm just really excited to see you and like see your other pals. So.
But there's a thing that I saw you guys doing all the time. Maybe someone wants to explain the Pac-Man formation?
Yes! Oh, Pac-Manning is so important. Pac-Manning is very
We
important.
literally
to me.
had the game Pac-Man as well, but this is a
Yeah,
different...
no, okay, yeah. I get very passionate about Pac-Man, so I'm gonna take this one.
Go on.
So when you're at a conference or anywhere, instead of standing in a circle, you always make sure that you shuffle around just enough that you leave one opening so that a new person can always join.
Yeah.
And then once that person joins, like you have to do a little bit of shuffling again, because obviously that person will have closed the circle. But it means that like there's never a closed circle of people speaking to each other. Like there's always an in for someone else to join, which I think is super important, and I always try and practice it.
Yeah.
I think there's a second thing to that, which I love the Pac-Man thing, and I try to actively do it. But also, for me, I try and keep an eye out of around the group that I'm with. So if somebody is circling round, I will open up and say, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Or, how are you finding it? And just a little conversation opener will draw them into you as well. And then all of a sudden they're part of the group. And I think that's really important for volunteers, for attendees. If you attend a few conferences and you've got your friends and you've seen them and you said hello, try and say hello to 3 people you've never seen before or something. But also try this thing of, while you're speaking to somebody, have a look around and try and include somebody else as they come in. Or remember who you've spoken to, because that's what I've done at conferences before. I've spoken to someone, they're like, oh yeah, I'm really excited about X, Y, Z, and la 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 la, I do this. And you're like, that bloke over there, same sort of thing. Hey mate, come over here. There you go. And then you sort of, you start sort of shifting the floor around to people and fostering conversation as well. So there's the Pac-Man, and then there's sort of opening it up and then having a little conversation starter to bring somebody into that group.
Yeah.
There's a point, isn't there, as well, about not just talking, right? Having activities for people or spaces where people can go where they don't have to feel like I have to extrovert the whole time. So the games were awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did force you to extrovert. Like the game was fun and gave people space to sort of calm down a bit, but then we had a surprise. And the surprise was the conference theme was kind of like, let's have a dance, let's have the swinging world of testing. But we were sure we were not going to get software testers dancing. We knew that. So we arranged an alternative. And we shoved you all into a room without chairs, and then we let you sort it out. What happened there?
Okay, well,
leave
it to the segue to the Antipodean. So yeah, we did a hacker. And it was really good. There's these 2 blokes who, I think they live in Holland. They're Kiwis. 3 blokes. 3 blokes.
Yeah.
3, get it right. And we did a New Zealand hacker. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the world of rugby and the world of New Zealand and things like that, a hacker is a New Zealand. I'm sorry, Kiwis, if I get this wrong, you can hate me if you want. But it's a tribal dance, and when two warring tribes are coming towards each other, they'd start off and they'd do a hacker at each other, and it was basically saying, dude, I'm going to fuck you up, and we're going to win, and we're going to live, and we're so cool. And that's kind of the long and the short of it. And we got to do that, and I love that. And you said, it's going to be difficult getting all of these, like a lot of introverts or whatever, trying to do it. But everybody bloody did it, didn't they?
Yeah,
Everybody
really
to
a person
and
actually did it.
some people were really good at it, and I just saw them, and I was like, I would have never thought that you were gonna fucking ace this, and now you are. It was fucking awesome.
Oh,
They
who
looked
was
so
it?
bloody
Yeah.
fierce.
Oh
Who was
my
it?
god,
Sophie.
yeah.
Sophie.
Sophie.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She was so good.
Sophie has the best hacker face ever. I mean, hopefully with her permission, we can put a video on or something
ask
like
her.
that.
Yeah, she was
But
really
oh
good.
man, when she just went like that, you're like, oh my god, yes. If I meet you in a dark alley, I'm gonna go the other
For
way.
reference, for people at home, Sophie's like this big, so...
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, awesome stuff.
So that brought you back after dinner. That was the whole idea. But then we segued you into a very serious topic that we have also discussed a lot on 9 out of 10 testers. And I was so grateful that Sophie Custer was also there to then move you into that topic. And that was really a topic I pushed for this year. So I'm really keen to find out, what did you think about You Don't Talk About That at Work?
So
Yeah,
good.
it's so good.
So good.
I mean, I've seen it before. I was happy to see it again. This time I managed without crying.
Oh, wow.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Well done.
yeah, I'm proud of myself.
Oh
but-
man, first
I
time I
sent
saw,
the
I was in
volunteers
tears.
in with a
Holy
pile
cow.
of tissues. And it was like, are you sure we're going to need this? I'm like, take them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ask, just do it.
You
Oh
know
man.
what? I was actually super impressed because after Sophie's talk, I went to another talk, and one of the speakers there said very openly, like Sophie's talk is partly about openness, about speaking about your feelings and your mental health openly.
Yeah.
And one of the speakers in the next talk just started his talk by saying like, wow, that was a really impressive keynote, and I may have cried a little bit there. And I was like, wow, Sophie did a talk about being open, and the next person on stage immediately opens up, and I was like, that is success, man. That is fucking success.
Yeah. People walked out of that room and everybody, my sister or my brother or my mother, everyone was opening up, or I had this, that then and then, or that is my life. All variations of this is so recognizable. We should be talking about it and helping each other and finding a way through, because we are struggling a lot with these topics and we don't tend to address them enough at work. And I still feel very strongly about that. And that's exactly why I love that Sophie came and did that for all of us.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's a big step forward.
Yeah. Big
Thank you,
hearts for
Sophie.
Yeah, wow. How do we follow that? Talking
Yeah,
about Sophie,
I know.
I'm tearing up again because just remembering
Just
it
remembering
was
it, yeah.
Yeah.
far out. Hang on, let me do something here. I'll just do that because I have to do that on everyone. try and do a little bit of a comedy to hide the fact I'm trying to hold it in here.
I'll take us back to reality, because there's one important part, like piece of feedback that I've got. I think the person introducing the talks didn't really know what the talks were about.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
So, you weren't there.
No.
Oh, right. Okay.
The
Well,
segue for the mental health one, that was...
yeah, I don't
that
think
was-
he'd realised what kind of talk that was going to be, and so he kind of went like,
Sophie's going to talk about mental health, I think, and et cetera, and it's very.
It's like, you don't talk about the hacker at work, and let's talk about this.
Yeah,
And then the other thing was, at some, like, he had to announce the talk after that, and like he struggled with the person's last name so badly, and I was like, you probably got a list of talks and speakers before today, like you could have practiced this a little
You
bit.
can practice this a little bit.
Yeah.
It's important to say names correctly. I mean,
It really is.
Isn't there some personal experience from
Yeah,
from
I
another
have it.
conference about people not being able to say your name, Hannah?
Like, how many people have dropped that H at the end of yours? It's like,
Yeah.
And of course you changed your name when you got
Yeah.
married, so that was another part where
yeah,
people
but
sort
I
of
mean,
had to
to
be
be
aware.
fair, people didn't get the last name right either.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go from an easy name to
An easier.
no,
Yeah.
about the same tricky level. It's just now normally Germans get it right, which is
That's true.
yeah, which
That's
is always. I mean, that's quite a lot of people in Germany. So I mean, I think
that's all right.
Winning.
Yeah.
No, but that's not good. I mean, you should know who you're.
Yeah.
And there was plenty of time to sort of
Yeah.
say hi and introduce yourself in between, even if they hadn't contacted each other before, which sometimes happens. I mean, I've had disconnects with track chairs where we try and get in touch but never manage to
Well,
meet.
that's the value of a track chair, is that it's probably a bit understated, I think, because
Yeah.
you're there to calm the speaker, but also to be able to introduce the speaker at the very beginning and do things. Now, Hannah's been my track chair before.
yes,
And you know, she showed me all these things. When we talk about this, that, and the other, I'm like, I don't know, you know me, just do the things. But it was calm. It helps you and your nerves if there's someone you know who's going to be doing that thing, and they're there for you at the beginning, because we've all done talks, and having people that we know
Really helps.
that we can see, they help ground you. They help sort of focus you a lot. Like Sana seems to be at every talk I do, which is wonderful, and the front row. and you need those people to just focus on and be like,
yeah.
But
all right.
I do like it when the conferences that I've been in other places, and that's why I had steady track chairs in each room. I'm sorry to hear about that. But what I always like is that it doesn't switch up too much. Like, very frequently when I speak, you also get asked to track chair, and I find that quite burdensome because it does double you up a bit.
Yeah.
And it means you run around and you try and find a room again. Whereas if you are the track chair for this room, that's a very clear role, and you can do that all day, and then you can prep it. So I don't like it when I love introducing you, and all of you, but I would prefer not to when I'm also speaking. So please invest in professional track chairs if you can, because I do feel they add so much.
It's actually on my bucket list.
To what? To track chair?
Yeah, I really want to
Yeah.
chair one
there
day.
you go.
you heard this, you heard it here
So
first.
if you're looking for a track chair, please ask me, because I really want to do it someday. Like it seems like a really cool and sort of like important responsibility. Yeah.
She does come with an entourage, by the way. I'm just saying.
It's a package deal.
It's a package deal.
Yeah, we'll track chair 5 rooms as long as we're together. Like, that would be great.
It is a bit of a thankless job, though. I've seen it done well and commented about it being done well, and done in a frustrating way. way. And this gentleman afterwards, fair play to him after Sophie's talk, he just went, sorry,
Yeah,
I completely screwed that up. I got that so wrong, and I'm really sorry. And Sophie just went,
He was
he owned it.
really good about it. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Sorry
really
for
good.
not mentioning that in the first place.
Yeah. No, you know, but also it is kind of a thankless job in a way, because you're, you know, as we've just discussed, you're segueing, you're calming people down, everything like that. If you muck up, they're like, oh, that dude introduced that speaker. Bloody hell, he was shit, wasn't he?
And no one's going to really remember if you do it. Like,
If you do a good job, the kind of people don't notice. That's the thing.
No.
If it's seamless and everything just runs, it's only when it goes badly do you remember.
I mean,
that's true. Like the Wi-Fi, right?
Hey!
Also, like software testing.
Oh.
yeah,
It's a
I
different
mean,
episode.
We're in like the last 10 minutes. Do we have any last story times, rounding ups, things to mention? Because I have one tiny thing, but let's see if there's any.
Go for it.
You go for it.
The only talks I actually did attend, because by that time it was a lot calmer and things were just like people were either already having beers and snacks or still in the last 2 talks, is I went and saw our Danish colleagues from Capgemini. And as much as I appreciated the talk, it was an experience story about testing Salesforce implementation. And it was very technical, but it was done very well because there was so much humor in it. And I remember we walked out of that and we had that chat. It's like, why did we find this funny? Because it wasn't explicitly meant to be humorous. Like they didn't intentionally make the jokes.
They're just naturally fucking funny.
They were just naturally fucking funny. Yeah,
I so regret not seeing that now.
yeah.
Same.
It was really.
I don't know why they were so funny, but I was just constantly giggling like, they're really amusing.
And it's true. There was a level of sarcasm, and they had these really deadpan bits. That, like, of course, that went really well. And then you knew, like, that did not
Not
go
go very
at
well.
all.
Okay, and so like
Okay.
the one speaker introduced the other as like I think he was doing something like bodybuilding kind of stuff, and so the one speaker introduced him like, yeah, and this is my colleague Niklas, and so you can see he's a very strong man. Very much not like me. It's like, I didn't want to laugh too hard, but
It was those things, but it was said in a tone of voice that was so in line with the rest of the presentation that you sort of like, did you just
did
do
you just
do
fucking
that?
say that? Yeah.
Oh my god,
Yeah, it was very
They
well
were
done.
they were really good.
I'm so gutted I missed that. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Well, by then, the funny thing is, by then there were groups of people tired out and they were sitting and again in circles talking about cliques. But one of the good things that I don't think people noticed that felt bad about not going to that last talk, and again, it was too long, we're going to cut it next year, is that when people came out, there were these groups of people having a great time. And there was visibly a lot of conversation and fun to be had. And that's why they stuck around. I mean, I've never seen people stick around at the end of an event that long. We went way over time.
Oh my god. Did
And
we?
yeah, we were supposed to shut down at like 9-ish. I think
Oh,
by
wow.
9:45 we were finally heading
The
to
bar
door.
staff were amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to them.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
they were awesome.
Yeah,
they
they
really
were
kept
really
us
good.
going. Yeah. So that was great.
Nice.
But no, people stuck around, like right until the very moment we got kicked out of the building.
Because
And
it was such a fun day. It was a
so
really good
good.
It was
day.
a really fun day.
yeah, it was.
But yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one to say. I mean, you can't sort of plan for that, of people sort of being out having a beer and then everybody filing out and going, oh, let's stay because everybody's having fun. You can't really plan for that.
No,
and
you
that-
can't.
And so yeah, it was looking up and you're going, yeah, party's still going. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And there's still plenty of people. Oh yeah, and we finally got the music on. That was really like it was the swinging world of testing as a theme, and we could not get the music on for the first 2 hours. Again, very good Capgemini security. Apparently, you can't get a streaming Spotify list on our Wi-Fi network.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was an interesting experience as well. Like we had tested it, and you could play like 1 or 2 songs, and then it would cut.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
The security team would be, you're not playing that song.
shut up.
Fucking hit
Not
this one.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Nickelback.
Not again.
Boyzone. Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'm sure someone might have been messing with us, but yeah. By the time we had drinks, it was on and it was fun. So.
It shows you the value that people sometimes don't understand from a conference, though, is the time you spend with the other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not as tangible as I went to this talk and I took this information and that is what I'm going to take to work. Actually having the ability to digest it and talk with other people about those things and their context, that's where the most value of these sorts of in-person events
Yeah.
happen.
Aye.
That's the bit I missed
Yeah.
most.
People came back with like one or two things. They either said, "Oh, this has really expanded my horizon. I now have so many more things to look into that I hadn't considered, or I had known, but now I really want to look into them and find out more." And the other reaction is, I've had such good conversations.
Oh, yeah.
So
Awesome.
they were pretty much 50-50 between those two, and I think depending on what you came for, that's what you would have gotten out. And honestly, that's why we go, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I just want to, I'm going to interrupt because it's come into my head and I promised myself I'd say it. We had a conversation, Hannah and I had a conversation with one of our fans. He came to us and he said, hey,
yeah.
9 out of 10 testers, I love what you do.
Holy
Thank
shit,
you.
really?
Yeah.
Yay! Holy
Yeah.
shit!
I didn't get his
We have
name. I'm
fans?
such an idiot.
Yeah.
You know,
Plural.
I should have, I should have asked him his name when I signed the autograph, but but no, he came up and he said one of the things he loves is story time. You know, because I did try and represent, and I said, you know, if there's one thing you'd like to hear us do and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that, and he's like, story time, love it. You know, you took 3 episodes to get comfortable with each other, but then it really showed that you gelled and you were enjoying it. So it's like, dude, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so awesome!
Yeah, that's a great note to end on. And also, it's honestly why I brought you in, because I knew that this would really add something to a whole day of fun. And then adding this as sort of an online version, we're so used to hybrid now. We need to find ways to make things work both ways. And having this as a sort of a recap for everyone that unfortunately maybe couldn't attend or wants to hear us talk about it and enjoys that, I think that really sums up what was a great day. And, you know, we are available for hire. We can do this
Yeah.
for your conference.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be at a
absolutely.
conference, right?
Yes, we are on the online test conference in
We
November.
are, yes.
November,
So
nice.
watch out for that. We're going to be making a lot of noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that wraps us up. Last words, Firla, anything?
Last words.
Yeah.
Last words
Jesus
before
Christ.
we take you outside and we shoot you. So make it count.
I would like to thank the Academy and Jesus.
Brava, brava.
Yes, yes.
Hannah.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to reach out to me, you can use LinkedIn mainly.
Fiola's got. So what do we do on every single episode, Fiola, when we're having a last word?
You
Oh.
know
You
what?
just take
Like,
the piss,
I'm
that's
actually
all.
having a really hard time doing this in real life. Like, I'm just completely thrown by having you all here, and like, I keep sort of looking around the corner as well. Like, is anyone going to speak? Because normally on the screen, I can see all of your faces,
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
so I can get the visual cues of what we're doing next. And now I'm just standing here, like, I have no idea what's going on. Right? Sorry. Okay, I'm backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
You can catch me on Twitter at Witch of the Test.
Okay.
And on LinkedIn under my normal
It's
name.
okay, we'll take it out in the edit, okay? Don't worry about that. Anything else that you want to add?
No,
there?
that's fine.
Okay, and as I said, I'm Shay. I'm at Shay Mouse on all social media. Find me on LinkedIn. Come and have a conversation. 9 out of 10 testers on Twitter and everything like that. Like and subscribe. Comments. Everything.
Yes,
We love
please.
your comments, please.
Yeah.
Ask for autographs.
Ask for autographs. Everything like that. Yep, we're available.
I'm Christovskia on all socials. And yes, very open to conversations about these things. Love your feedback. I did put a Twitter thread out before we came, which some people have actually suggested things for us to talk about.
Oh.
We might
I saw
actually need
that.
a backlog.
Wait, before that, we need a network to be able to see.
yes.
See what I did there? See what I did there? Well, last one.
Anyway, yes, that's
Yes, network issues. I'm at Simply Sonna, and to finish us off in another tradition, are we off yet?
And stop.
And stop. Are we off?
Cut, please, cut us.
There's a mouse.